The Story of Dr. Dolittle, Chapter 10, The Rarest Animal of All. Push-me-pull-yous are now extinct. That means there aren't any anymore. But long ago, when Dr. Dolittle was alive, there were some of them still left in the deepest jungles of Africa, and even then they were very, very scarce. They had no tail, but a head at each end, and sharp horns on each head. They were very shy and terribly hard to catch. People in Africa get most of their animals by sneaking up behind them when they're not looking. But you couldn't do this with a push-me-pull-you, because no matter which way you came towards him, he was always facing you. And besides, only one half of him slept at any time. The other head was always awake and watching. This was why they were never caught and never seen in zoos. Though many of the great huntsmen and the cleverest zookeepers spent years of their lives searching through the jungles in all weathers for push-me-pull-yous, not a single one had ever been caught. Even then, years ago, it was the only animal in the world with two heads. Well, the monkeys set out hunting for this animal through the forest, and after they'd gone a good many miles, one of them found peculiar footprints near the edge of a river, and they knew that a push-me-pull-you must be very near that spot. Then they went along the bank of the river a little way, and they saw a place where the grass was high and thick, and they guessed that he was in there. So they all joined hands and made a great circle round the grass. The push-me-pull-you heard them coming and tried to break through the ring of monkeys, but it couldn't do it. When he saw it was no use trying to escape, he sat down and waited to see what they wanted. They asked him if he would go with Dr. Dolittle and be put on show in the land of the white men. But he shook both his heads hard and said, "Certainly not." They explained to him that he would not be shut up in a menagerie, but would be looked after. They told him that the doctor was a very kind man, but hadn't any money, and people would pay to see a two-headed animal, and the doctor would get rich and could pay for the boat he'd borrowed to come to Africa in. But he answered, "No, you know how shy I am. I hate being stared at," and he almost began to cry. Then for 3 days they tried to persuade him. At the end of the 3rd day he said he would come with them and see what kind of man the doctor was first. So the monkeys travelled back with the push-me-pull-you. And when they came to where the doctor's little house of grass was, they knocked on the door. The duck, who was packing the trunk, said, "Come in." And Chi-Chi very proudly took the push-me-pull-you inside and showed him to the doctor. "What in the world is it?" asked John Dolittle, gazing at the strange creature. "Lord save us," said the duck. "How does it make up its mind?" "It doesn't look to me as though it had any," said Jip the dog. "This, doctor," said Chi-Chi, "is the push-me-pull-you, the rarest animal of the African jungles, the only two-headed beast in the world. Take him home with you and your fortune's made. People will pay any money to see him." "But I don't want any money," said the doctor. "Yes, you do," said Dab-Dab the duck. "Don't you remember how we had to pinch and scrape to pay the butcher's bill in Puddleby? And how are you going to get the sailor the new boat you spoke of, unless you have the money to buy it?" "Oh, I was going to make him one," said the doctor. "Oh, do be sensible," cried Dab-Dab. "Where would you get all the wood and the nails to make one with? And besides, what are we going to live on? We shall be poorer than ever when we get back." "Chi-Chi's perfectly right. Take the funny-looking thing along, do." "Well, perhaps there is something in what you say," murmured the doctor. "It certainly would make a nice new kind of pet. But does what you call it really want to go abroad?" "Yes, I'll go," said the push-me-pull-you, who saw at once from the doctor's face that he was a man to be trusted. "You've been so kind to the animals here, and the monkeys tell me that I'm the only one who will do. But you must promise me that if I don't like it, in the land of the men, you'll send me back." "Why, certainly, of course, said the doctor. "Excuse me, surely you are related to the deer family, are you not?" "Yes," said the Pushyu, "to the Abyssinian gazelles and the Asiatic chamois. On my mother's side, my father's great-grandfather was the last of the unicorns." "Most interesting," murmured the doctor, and he took a book out of the trunk which Dab Dab was packing, began turning the pages. "Let us see if Buffon says anything." "I notice," said the duck, "that you only talk with one of your mouths. Can't the other head talk as well?" "Oh, yes," said the Pushmi-Pullyu, "but I keep the other mouth for eating, mostly. In that way, I can talk while I'm eating without being rude. Our people have always been very polite." When the packing was finished and everything was ready to start, the monkeys gave a grand party for the doctor, and all the animals of the jungle came. And they had pineapples and mangoes and honey and all sorts of good things to eat and drink. I'll just show you a picture of the Pushmi-Pullyu in the doctor's hut. And after they'd all finished eating and celebrating, the doctor got up and said, "My friends, I am not clever at speaking long words after dinner like some people, and I've just eaten many fruits and much honey. But I wish to tell you that I am very sad at leaving your beautiful country. Because I have things to do in the land of England, I must go. After I have gone, remember never to let the flies settle on your food before you eat it, and not to sleep on the ground when the rains are coming. I hope you will all live happily ever after." And when the doctor stopped speaking and sat down, all the monkeys clapped their hands a long time and said to one another, "Let it be remembered always among our people that he sat and ate with us here, under the trees, for surely he is the greatest of men." And the grand gorilla, who had the strength of 7 horses in his hairy arms, rolled a great rock up to the head of the table and said, "This stone for all time shall mark the spot." And even to this day, in the heart of the jungle, that stone is still there. And monkey mothers passing through the forest with their families still point down to it from the branches and whisper to their children, "Shh, there it is. Look, where the great good doctor sat and ate food with us in the year of the great sickness." Then, when the party was over, the doctor and his pets started out to go back to the seashore. And the monkeys went with them as far as the edge of their country, carrying his trunk and bags to see him off.